If you enjoy slow, unsettling stories told in the dark, you might want to subscribe. I post new ones every week. Anyway, I never really paid attention to the house across from mine until about 2 months ago. It's one of those older suburban houses that doesn't look abandoned at first glance. 2 floors, pale gray siding, small front porch, the kind of place that probably held a normal family once. But no one has lived there since I moved in 3 years ago. I know that because I work from home. I'm at my desk most of the day, and my bedroom window faces directly toward it. If someone had moved in, I would have noticed. At least, I thought I would. It started on a Tuesday night. I remember because I had stayed up later than usual finishing a project. It was close to 1:30 a.m. My room was dark, except for the glow of my monitor. The street outside was quiet. No cars, no voices, just the faint hum of distant highway traffic. I leaned back in my chair and stretched. That's when I noticed it. There was a light on in the second floor window of the house across from mine. At first, it didn't register as strange. My brain just filled in the blanks. Oh, someone must have moved in. But then I saw the silhouette, a person standing in the window, still, facing my house, facing me. I froze for a second, but only because it startled me. When you don't expect to see someone, and suddenly you do, your brain takes a moment to catch up. The figure wasn't moving, no pacing, no shifting, just standing there. I remember thinking it was rude more than anything else. Like, why are you staring into my window at 1:30 in the morning? So I reached over and turned off my desk lamp. The glow from my monitor dimmed slightly as it went to sleep. Now, my room was almost completely dark. The silhouette across the street didn't move. I told myself I was being dramatic. People look out windows. That's normal. Still, I closed my curtains before going to bed. The next morning, the house looked exactly like it always had. No car in the driveway, no trash bins moved, no lights on, and the old, faded, "For sale" sign was still leaning crookedly in the yard. That should have been my first clue, but I brushed it off. Maybe a realtor was doing late inspections. Maybe a contractor had been inside. There are always logical explanations. The second night, I forgot about it. Until 1:28 a.m., I happened to glance up from my phone. The light was on again. Second floor, same window, and the silhouette was there. Same position, facing my house. I felt a tightness in my chest that I didn't like. It was too similar, too precise. I stood up slowly and walked closer to my window. The streetlight outside flickered faintly, casting long shadows across the pavement. I couldn't see details of the person, just the outline. Average height, shoulders slightly rounded, head tilted forward just a bit, like someone watching. I raised my hand halfway, just instinctively. The silhouette didn't react. I waited. Nothing. I laughed quietly at myself. "Relax," I whispered. Then I turned away to grab a bottle of water from my desk. It couldn't have been more than 5 seconds. When I turned back, the silhouette's arm was raised, halfway, like mine had been. But it wasn't smooth. It was slightly delayed, and it was still. I stood there, holding my breath. Slowly, I lowered my arm. 3 seconds later, The silhouette lowered its arm too. My mouth went dry. I stepped back from the window. The light in their room flickered once. I don't know how long I stood there. Eventually, I closed my curtains again, this time more carefully. That night, I barely slept. The next day, I decided to do something reasonable. I walked across the street. It was around noon. Bright daylight. Nothing scary about it. Up close, the house looked worse than I remembered. Paint peeling, dust on the windows, mail piled inside the slot. I stepped onto the porch and knocked. The sound echoed hollowly inside. No movement. I tried the doorbell. Nothing. I walked around the side of the house. The backyard gate was chained shut. All the windows were dirty. No signs of anyone living there. When I looked up at the second floor window, the one where I'd seen the silhouette, the curtains were slightly parted. From the outside, like someone had been standing there recently, watching. That night, I told myself I wouldn't look. I went to bed early, but around 1:30 a.m., I woke up. No reason, just that sudden awareness you get sometimes. My room was dark, completely silent, and I felt it. That feeling of being watched, slowly. I turned my head toward the window. The curtains were open. I don't remember opening them. Across the street, the light was already on, and the silhouette was closer to the glass this time. I could see more definition. The shape of the head, the outline of the arms. It looked wrong. Familiar. I sat up slowly. The silhouette sat up too. My stomach dropped. I swung my legs off the bed. Across the street, the silhouette did the same. Not delayed this time. Perfectly synchronized. My breathing became shallow. I stood up. It stood up. I took one step forward. It took one step forward. Then I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The room behind the silhouette was my room. Same bed position, same desk, same chair, same half-open closet door. The house across from mine wasn't showing a random room. It was showing a copy of mine. Exactly. I stumbled backward. The silhouette stumbled too. But when I stopped, it didn't. It took one more step, closer to the glass, and for the first time, I could see its face. It was mine, not distorted, not monstrous, just me, but expressionless, empty. It lifted its hand slowly and pressed it against the window. From my side of the street, I heard a sound, a faint, almost inaudible tap. Behind me, I didn't want to turn around, but I did. My own window, right in front of me. There was a hand pressed against it from the outside, and it matched mine perfectly. When I looked back across the street, the second floor window was dark. No light, no silhouette. The house looked empty again. I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, the police came. Not because I called them, because the house across the street had finally sold. The new owners were arriving that afternoon. I watched as movers carried furniture inside. Normal furniture, nothing like my room. By sunset, the house looked alive for the first time in years, and the second floor window now had different curtains, blue ones, not the pale gray I'd been seeing. I almost convinced myself it had been stress, lack of sleep, an overactive imagination, until last night. Around 1:30 a.m., I woke up again. My room was dark, silent. The curtains were closed, but there was light bleeding through the fabric. from inside my room. I slowly turned toward my desk. The monitor was on, even though I shut my computer down every night. And sitting in my chair was someone, back facing me, shoulders slightly rounded, head tilted forward, watching the window. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. After a few seconds, the figure slowly stood up and began walking toward my window. My body felt frozen because I knew what I would see next. The curtains moved slightly, as if something behind them had shifted. And from across the street, from the second-floor window of the newly occupied house, I saw a silhouette standing there, watching me perfectly still. If you're still listening, look at your window just for a second and tell me, is the reflection moving? Exactly when you do,